Good morning, Mother Mary Keenan, on this Sunday, March 10th, 2019. Can you tell me, Mother Mary Keenan, what's the sermon about today?
Today I'm going to be preaching about reflecting on the Old Testament and the Gospel for the first Sunday in Lent and asking us to remember who we are and whose we are, and use Lent as a time not just for personal reflection and personal growth, but as a time the whole community prepares for Easter. Happy Lent, y'all. I have always loved Lent, and I know that sounds a little bit strange, but it's true. And even way back in 7th and 8th grade, I loved it. There was a challenge of giving something up, and then a sense of accomplishment, sticking with it, and also the feeling of superiority, getting to explain to my peers why I was undertaking such an onerous discipline as giving up soda for more than a month. Or that time I became vegetarian and nearly drove my mother crazy because she already had 5 others to feed and really didn't need to make a separate dinner just for me. By 9th grade, it became clear that I might benefit from giving up pride for Lent. But as small as my Lenten sacrifices seem to me now, I recognize in them a longing to express my membership in my church community. And thankfully, once I got a little older, I started to seek more spiritual outcomes from my Lenten disciplines. Something that would connect me more to God than my own perceived accomplishments. I paid a little more attention to the admonitions on Ash Wednesday and the following Sundays, and looked for a purpose to these days that was bigger than my own sense of success. For me, and I suspect for many of you, these disciplines focus on what we should and should not do, on our actions and our words. Even when people started taking something on for Lent instead of giving something up, the focus is on what to do and what not to do. Recently, I started thinking about things from a different angle. What if instead of approaching Lent with a list of shoulds and should-nots, we approached Lent as a remembrance of who and whose we are? What would the giving up and taking on of a discipline feel like from that perspective? Well, about 4 years ago, I attended an iftar. That's the Muslim meal that breaks the Ramadan fast. We met at St. David's Church downtown, and our hosts were part of a Turkish community here in Austin. Before the sun set, one of our hosts gave us a brief introduction to Ramadan and the Muslim tradition of fasting, which is no food or water from sunrise to sunset for the whole month. It was June, and I imagine that fast was quite a challenge. At one point, our host said, "You know, we get our tradition of fasting from you." And of course, he was right. Fasting is a spiritual practice in all 3 of the Abrahamic faiths, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. As the evening went on, I noticed that although one focus of that evening was on fasting and breaking fast, there was a much stronger focus on the community fasting together, breaking fast together, and sharing the meaning of their fast with us, their guests. On a hot summer day with no water or food, they prepared a feast to share with me and my friends. Instead of focusing on being parched and hungry, they focused on gathering and celebrating. And that experience stuck with me. This is a community of people who knew who they are and whose they are. And if their tradition of fasting came from us, maybe I could find a way to reincorporate what I experienced with them into my own fasting. The gospel lesson we hear today is probably the most familiar set of images associated with Lent. It's the story of Jesus right after his baptism, fasting for 40 days in the wilderness, and it's the model of our own 40 days of Lent. we choose to exercise that fasting. Most of us are not going to go into the wilderness, but we might have our own spiritual wilderness during this time. He experienced temptation that is echoed in the petitions of our litany every Sunday during Lent. Spare us from the crafts and assaults of the devil, we say. Jesus' time in the wilderness is intensely personal. It's his time facing temptation alone. It's his time owning his role as the Christ. And I think that this sense of aloneness is how many people face Lent. It's a solitary journey, a chance to trade our earthly distractions for a closer relationship with God. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with this perspective. It's very fruitful. However, once I started thinking about the fasting of my Muslim and Jewish friends, I wondered about the communal aspects of taking on the spiritual discipline. And as luck would have it, inspiration came to me from another lesson here today, the reading from Deuteronomy. Today, on the first Sunday of Lent, in addition to hearing the story of Jesus' 40-day fast in the wilderness, we have a liturgy of thanksgiving in the book of Deuteronomy. It is instruction to the people of Israel for how to observe the Festival of Weeks, the celebration of the harvest for an agrarian people. Paired with Jesus facing temptation when he is weakened by hunger, we have this ritual of presenting the first fruits of the harvest to the priest. And just as a reminder, the first fruits are their income. They're taking a percentage of their income right off the top, pre-tax, to the priest. These are not the fruits from the edges of their fields that they leave for the poor. These are the fruits from the best crops that their fields can produce. And then, after they've handed over their goods, their first fruits, they recite the history of their redemption. They remember Abraham, Jacob, Moses. They remember wandering in the desert and being led to a fertile land flowing with milk and honey. At the time of year when the people of Israel are reaping the reward of their hard work and blessings, they recall their history of captivity, wandering, and rescue. They remember, as part of the ongoing rhythm of their lives, who they are and whose they are. And they do it together as a community. They remember they are a people who are saved, a people beloved by God, a people who have each other. They remember whose they are. They are the people of God. We have then this pair of messages to start our Lenten journey and inform whatever spiritual discipline we observe between now and Easter. Jesus in the wilderness, and the people of Israel remembering their heritage. The liturgy illustrated for us in Deuteronomy, and chosen especially for this first Sunday of Lent, this reading reminds us that our Lenten observance is also done in community and in thanksgiving. I invite you to consider this season of Lent as a time to express thanksgiving individually and in community. I invite you to take on a discipline for your own spiritual growth, and also because it's something we do together to prepare for Easter. I invite you to remember, as our spiritual ancestors in Israel did, by giving up their first fruits of the harvest, that it's a blessing to have something to give up. This is a lesson enough for any fast. Mostly, I invite you to remember during Lent who and whose you are. You are part of this community of Christians journeying together. You are beloved by God. We are the body of Christ. These remembrances alone will make it a holy Lent. Amen.